Yeah. Get up.
All right, we've got the 2018 Sport Glide. I've been so excited to ride this bike. Just at address, it feels a little bit like the Slim. There's probably going to be a lot of similarities, but here we go. We're gonna turn the bike on. Got it in neutral, put the clutch in anyway, and here we go. Again, with this counterbalanced rigid mounted engine, hardly any shake at all here, and that's pretty nice. So a couple things about the Sport Glide: standard ABS and standard security system. A lot of similarities between the Sport Glide and the bike that you've got in front of me, which is the Fat Boy. Same engine. The biggest thing here that's the switch is that instead of having floorboards here on the sides, we've got regular pegs, and I find that a little bit odd, just because this is kind of like you know, it's a kind of a blend between a tourer and a standard cruiser. Just gonna keep quiet here and focus. Super smooth. Some of these guys are wanting to move up here. I think I'm good where I am. I like this guy's helmet here. Put the phone down and drive. Awesome. Good safety feature there. I agree. A lot of guys moving up here to the front. Again, we're just going to stay where we are. So, right off the bat, this bike feels really balanced. Doesn't feel top heavy. I remember when I first rode the Slim, it did feel kind of top heavy. Now this bike, I think, is about 700 pounds in running order, and that's pretty much the same as the bike that I ride right now, which is the Fat Bob. But this bike definitely feels a little more balanced than that. And a stagger here. I'm going to get up ahead of this guy. But we've got all the standard Harley-Davidson controls here. The other thing that comes standard on the Sport Glide is cruise control. So you've got standard ABS, standard cruise control, and I believe the security system, which is a keyless, is standard as well. Everyone's kind of like, oh, there's a cop right here. Do I go? Well, here we go. Now, just like all the 2018 models that with the rigid mounted counterbalanced engine, very smooth ride, not a lot of vibration here in the hands or the feet. Very comfortable riding position here. I am 5'6". I weigh about 180 pounds, and my inseam's about 29.5, 30 inches, and everything just really nicely fits, conforms to my bod, so no issues there. just a really confident feel to this riding position. I got the breakout there to my left. Really like the styling on that bike. Didn't necessarily like, that's one of the bikes that I couldn't ride in the 2017 and earlier because the stretch was too long for my legs. I can ride to 2018, but it is still a little bit of a stretch, and that's the only one of the 2018 models that I've test ridden. It's still a bit of a stretch, but this bike here, staying focused here on this bike, is a nice fit. Looks like some of these people ran the red light. So again, the 107 cubic inch Milwaukee 8 engine is a very powerful, fun to ride engine. Really enjoy riding these bikes. I've ridden the 114 on the Fat Bob, on the 114 on the Fat Boy, and I've also ridden the 117 on the CVO Limited. So a lot of variety that I've test ridden, and really the power in these engines are all just superb. I haven't ridden one of these bikes where I'm like, oh, that one's a little bit lacking. All of these 2018 Harley-Davidson models not lacking for power. I can tell you right now, it's a real confident feel to this bike. One of my favorite things about the Sport Glide is that you can take off the rear saddlebags if you want. The quick detach system. You can also take off this front fairing, but actually, for the front fairing is one of the things I like a lot about the Sport Glide. Oh, what's going on here? Somebody's having a little bit of trouble. I'm gonna pass him up. And this is one of those things you kind of always have to worry about on these demo rides. These people who are going. Oh, a little bit of a scrape there on the right foot on that sharp turn. That's the first time I've scraped on any of these bikes, and this is one of those things where the lean angle on this bike isn't great. And because you've got the pegs, you've got your heel hanging down on these turns, and it's obviously a little bit easier to scrape, because I have not scraped yet on any of these. It's strange to me that this bike does not have floorboards on it because of the touring. How it looks like it's geared more towards a touring bike because of this pseudo front fairing and the saddlebags. But again, because my feet are hanging down a little bit here on the pegs, my heels are hanging down. My first scrape here on these 2018 models. Now a lot of power. The sound on this engine is really similar to me to the Street Bob, from what I can remember. And this gravel that's so close to the edge of the road here, it concerns me a little bit, not for me, but because we got some inexperienced riders out here. But really smooth ride. We've got the inverted front forks, and really luxurious feel to this ride. And it's also not just a luxurious feel, but it also has a sportier giddy up here on the. A lot of power. We're just in 5th gear now, so I mean I got all the way up to I got all the way up pretty fast there. Just in 4th gear. Looks like I probably got up to like 70 miles an hour in 4th gear, and that kind of just tells you. Yeah. See, come on, guys. It's a staggered formation. A lot of the specs on this bike are very similar to the rest of the Softail models. But to me, this bike feels much more like if I was to compare it to any of the other 2018 models that I've ridden, it definitely feels a lot like the Fat Boy. But here with my feet positioned up this way, it definitely has the wind blowing up against my feet. So it's not like I'm having trouble keeping my feet on the pegs, but it's definitely a less comfortable feel and definitely comfortable ride than it was on the Fat Boy. Hopefully hopefully we'll get into some good turns here, so you can feel the handling. I can't really weave back and forth like I would to test out how the bike feels underneath me because of this group ride, but that's okay. We'll test it out here in this 15-mile-an-hour turn. Put a little space here in between myself and this gentleman in front of me, so we can take this turn a little bit more aggressively than... Oh, we got some gravel here, maybe not. Again, I can feel my heels scraping there. So, not a great lean angle on this bike. Couple that with the pegs so that your heels are pointed downwards towards the ground, and you're gonna scrape. I can guarantee you're gonna scrape because I didn't take that turn super aggressively and had a little heel scrape, but kind of just bracing myself for it because I know it's coming. Yep, there it is again. But a really smooth shifting. The difference between riding on the touring bikes where you gotta really kind of squeeze really hard. But we have a beautiful day here. I was a little worried because it's been cold this week, but we've got beautiful weather today. I didn't even wear any of my cold weather gear. Brakes are really good. I don't know if you could hear that little squeak that I had there, but really grippy, but not so grippy as to be like, holy crap, you know. That's a good choice. I really like the rumble of this, of the exhaust on this bike. And even though the counterbalancing, little giddy up. Downshifted a little too low there, but I really like the giddy up on this Sport Glide. And that's what I will say. The Fat Boy, when I rode it, which has a lot of the similar specs as this bike here, definitely was a cruiser. You know, it's a really comfortable bike, and I didn't get super aggressive on it. But this bike definitely has a lot more sporty feel to it, and it's really nice. So 50 miles an hour in this turn, we're not going 50. Now these roads are really nice and smooth, so I haven't really been able to feel how this bike would handle a big pothole or a big bump. But what I can say is, though, just regular riding, it feels super smooth. And again, I would compare it to I would probably compare it the most to the Slim when I rode it, but maybe even a little bit more comfortable ride. Maybe even closer to the Road King when I rode that bike, as far as suspension and comfortability and absorbing the shock. Maybe I can get ahead of him on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna get ahead of him. Instead of stopping here, I'm just gonna blow through this sign. Oh, just got a rock in the leg. That smarts. So just a little bit of business here. Got a little bit distracted before. These are all the same standard Harley controls. You got the left blinker on the left, the right blinker on the right. You got ignition and power on and off on the right, and on the left you've got your horn and your high beams, as well as your trip toggle. Now these mirrors, no problem at all seeing out of these mirrors. These handlebars are like the perfect distance apart for a guy my width. dip there. Bike's still hugging the road. No, I really like this bike. And again, the biggest allure for me on this bike is kind of going back and forth between having being able to have the saddlebags back there. Yeah, taking these bumps and these potholes, these little undulations in the road very nicely. So again, like I was saying, the bike to me is alluring to me because of the adjustability. You know, I would probably ride this bike with the sands, the saddlebags, and probably take those saddlebags off and just ride with this front fairing. I really like this front fairing. This is not my favorite color. It's the silver color. This all comes in Twisted Cherry, which so far has been my favorite red color on these 2018 models. I rode a 2018 Breakout with the Twisted Cherry color. That was my favorite red color. And it comes in black, and to me, the black makes the most sense because you've got black saddlebags, which are standard. And just for me, a guy that likes to match and likes everything to look nice, having the black saddlebags on a bike that is any other color besides black, I'm not in love with that clashing. I got a highway patrolman lying in wait over there, so I think I will make a full stop here. I think he's just waiting for somebody to. Yeah, see, I even held my foot more flat like this just to see if I could prevent a heel scrape on that 90-degree turn, and it still scraped a little bit. So again, that's my one takeaway from this bike is if you're a guy that's a little intimidated by a little scrapage of the peg or the heel, just keep a heads up on that one. Be ready for it. Brace yourself. If you're going to test ride or you're going to buy one, be ready for that. Everything else, I don't mind about this bike. Again, if you're going to wear a full face helmet, you're going to have to look down to check out your speedometer and your tachometer. So another thing, just a heads up there. This guy next to me is making me nervous. It's one of these things. I don't go on a lot of group rides, but I would definitely be choosy about who I rode with, because I'm not one of those guys that likes to I'm not a stunt guy, and I'm pretty law-abiding. So on these test rides, because we're kind of under the safety net of I was just following them, I do not ride like this normally. And if you watch any of my other videos, you can definitely account for that I do not normally ride as fast as I ride on these test rides. But we're coming to the end here. I guess if I wanted to sum up this test ride, I would definitely recommend the Sport Glide. If you're looking for a bike, like a real touring bike, this definitely does not have that feel. Even though it's super comfortable, the riding position is very, very comfortable, you're just not going to have the luxury of a real touring bike. But for me, yeah, like if I was going to go touring, I would definitely ride this bike. But then again, I'm not a touring motorcyclist. But this is just up my alley. This would be a definite. Let's put it this way: I would definitely recommend this bike for a guy who's looking to cross over from like a standard cruiser to a touring bike. Like if you wanted to go out on maybe a little bit longer of a trip, this is definitely one of those bikes. And at the price point, definitely it's something to consider, because it falls right underneath the Fat Boy and I believe the Heritage. So again, it's a lot sportier than the Heritage or the Fat Boy, and obviously they're going for that with the name, the Sport Glide. Come on, dude, we're waiting for you. And she's gonna let us go. Didn't look like she wanted to, but too late now. Alright guys, this has been a nice ride. Hope you enjoyed. And this is that one guy riding the 2018 Sport Glide. And I'm out.
A few moments later.
So the thing I forgot to add about this bike is that it does have the hand adjustable preload here on the outside. I know all of the new Softail models have the adjustable preload. Some of them you have to take the seat off and it's right underneath the seat, but this one here, you just get right in there and you can adjust the preload. So other than that though, I think I covered all my bases. This is the 2018 Sport Glide, and it is a fun bike to ride. So you have that one guy stamp of approval. So guys, if you're riding, be safe, and if you're not riding, get riding. This is that one guy, and I'm out.